Hello, hello. It's Sonia here with Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company. Thank you so very much for joining us today. It is Monday, October the 5th, and you are chiming in to episode number 27. Thank you so very much. Before we get too far into today's podcast, I would really love to hear from you what it is that's resonated with you most when it comes to listening to these podcasts. Are there ideas that you implement? Are there thoughts that you can just resonate to? Or is it just a story? And none of these are wrong, so don't think that there's judgment with any of these. I'm just curious as to where you're at. We're all at different stages on our wellness journey. Some people are advocates, and you know who they are because they're the ones that are promoting other people to live their best lives all the time. Some people are silent watchers, right? You just kind of listen, observe, watch other people progress, learn how it works for you. Are you either one of those? I'm curious because we're all at different stages on our journey, and I'm here to help support you wherever you are and to meet you where you're at so you can up level the next version of your life. Today we're going to talk about labels, but it's labels in a different way, and I'm going to explain what I mean. So yesterday was a lazy day. I went online, I posted how I was going to have a lazy day, easy like a Sunday morning. I actually had a shower, got up, got dressed. Well, other way, right? Got up, had a shower, got dressed after we had a little bit of breakfast. And I put on fresh, comfy pajamas for the day. Pajama shorts and a tank top. I know it's fall and it's winter and I'm hot all the time, but that's irrelevant. My fact is I got dressed for the day in cozy clothes. I never do that. My intentions were, yes, I wear comfortable clothes. I never wear pajama type everyday clothes that I would normally wear for my bedtime, right? Pair of pajama shorts and a tank top. I did have a sweater on for a little bit, but my point is coziness was key. My intentions were to chill. My intentions were to sit on the couch, to relax, and to get things done. To just be and to see what happens for the day. Well, after sitting down for a little bit, I actually went through all of my social media, which felt so good to catch up on a few things. I was inspired to get a job done. So the job I went to get done was organizing some of my winter clothes that I have a couple of bins under the bed, and I pulled them out bin by bin. But because I was so relaxed and so refreshed, it took me less than half an hour to go through both bins, create a bag for the Goodwill, and start the laundry. Well, Tony started the laundry for me, but I separated a pile to go into the laundry that I'm going to try on again and decide. So I did a quick yes, no, have a bag for the Goodwill ready to go, and put some clothes away, and then wash some clothes. So a task, my friends, that normally would have taken me hours, if not sometimes weeks, because I would have gotten distracted. I was so refreshed and so recharged that it really didn't take me long at all. And that is the space creativity gives us. Creativity is what happened when I sat there and let the day unfold. However, at the beginning of the day, I labeled it as laziness. Why would we do that to ourselves? Why would we choose a word that isn't serving us? Laziness doesn't describe me at all, right? It doesn't describe me. I might not be 100% on all of the time. Nobody should be, but laziness is nowhere near in my vocabulary. Just because I choose to sit and relax and have a different type of day doesn't make it wrong. All right. So what else happened with my day yesterday? Well, when Tony came back from grocery shopping, I helped put the groceries away. I ended up making dinner, which I love to do, especially on the days that we're not busy or pressed for time. I actually did a little bit of work yesterday for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I spent some time in my home office sending out emails and getting some follow-up information sent out to people. which again felt good. It felt like a huge sense of accomplishment. Then circled back to the couch, all cozy. So throughout the day when I was watching, when I was going through my social media feeds, I actually had videos on YouTube playing in the living room, motivational videos in the background, right? I was catching bits and pieces of it. I wasn't 100% focused on them. That's okay. My intention wasn't to stop and to immerse into everything that I was learning, but it was to pick up a few things along the way that I meant to hear. So I did that as well. I actually had a bath first thing in the morning, and I finished my book. Okay, so finished my book, did some work, organized my clothes, which normally takes a long period of time. Caught up on all of my social media messages, right? Made dinner, something I take joy in doing, making dinner. Again, only when I'm not pressed for time. There's nothing worse than feeling like I have no ideas and I want to get supper on the table by a certain time. So it is one of the things I do enjoy doing. It is on my win wall whenever I get a chance to do that and enjoy the process. It goes on my win wall. And we'll talk about the win wall at a different day. It's part of my Future Self program, and it's amazing. It's amazing to identify what you take as a win. And I'm not going to spend too much time going on that today. It's something you can actually message me about saying, hey, Sonia, tell me about the win wall. Tell me about the Future Self program. There's one more thing I want to share with you that I did last night. And again, this is before the TV's really on where I'm sitting down and watching a show, because we normally just do that at date night. But we, date night is every night, as you know, about 9:30. We normally get 1 or 2 shows in, depending on the time and the energy of the day and where we're at. So the TV's still not on at this point to watch TV. The motivational videos are done, and I decide it's time to do some learning. I'd made a comment on my post yesterday that I was going to exchange scrolling for learning, and I knew I wanted to complete one of my certificates. Well, it was I had 8 modules left, so I had a lot of focusing to do, right? Well, at the end of the day, I completed my mindfulness certificate. So not only did I do it in such a relaxed format, I got over 90% on my test at the very end. So these are certified courses, my friends, that I do, and I need them to keep up my my credentials. But more importantly, I need them to offer you the best that I can provide you in terms of mindfulness, in terms of life coaching, in terms of healthy habits. So all of this was done yesterday, and I'm going to recap. Okay, I'm going to recap. Had a bath, finished a book, organized my winter clothes, did work for an hour or two, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Let me rephrase that. Made dinner, a fun dinner for the family. We had Tex-Mex. It was fun. It's one of my favorite types of food. And caught up on all my social media and did my certificate, finished my certificate for mindfulness training. That's a lazy day? In no way does any of that fit into a lazy day. What I'm learning from this, and what I've picked up on this very quickly yesterday, is just because the day is done differently does not mean it's wrong. Making time to be creative, giving yourself the space to relax and unwind will help you in your day-to-day. Why label it? We try to label everything. Tony and I label our relationship. I try to label it. He labels it a little bit, but we definitely see each other as much more than boyfriend, girlfriend. We're living together. We're not married. You'll hear me refer to him as my husband and Nathan as my son. It's a label. But how many other ways are you labeling your life? And are you choosing words that are helping you live your best life? And that's something to think about, because what we say to ourselves can be very counterproductive. Very counterproductive. In no way, shape, or form did I have a lazy day yesterday. However, I was more comfortable than I've ever been. And I didn't feel guilty or weird at all not leaving the house because, that's just the sign of the times these days. We're not leaving the house as much as we want. And I like to compartmentalize my house, our house, and live in different spaces for different reasons. But I promise you, it's not like me to be in fresh pajamas for the day. That's something I would do when I'm sick, right? But why do I need to be sick or not feeling my best to be sitting on the couch or to be going about my day in a peaceful manner? Obviously, I did a lot yesterday, but I did a lot without pressure. I did a lot without expectation. And I did a lot, but I was in the moment. I learned. I did a lot of different things, and it was perfect. It was right up my alley. Loved everything about yesterday. We had time together. We had time apart. We worked together as a unit like we always do. And I'm actually even more prepared for the week today, or the week and today. So Tony ended up making some chicken breasts last night. So that means that's one part of meal prep done. It gives me a couple of options for tonight. I'm going to be making a soup today. I'm cleaning the house today, doing some baking today. And I have some clients I get to call and connect with today, and some conversations I'm very much looking forward to having. But for all of you entrepreneurs that are listening to this, for all of you parents and even employees that are listening to this, how are you finding the downtime? Are you getting any in? What if you sat on the couch or put yourself in a mindset where whatever happens, happens, and surprise yourself? That's exactly what I did yesterday. I surprised myself. Now I have higher plans today. Today's going to be a little bit more fast forward, but I still did what needed to be done. I still sent out a certain amount of contacts yesterday, but I was in such a different, relaxed state of mind. As you're thinking about the labels that you put on yourself, I want you to think about the labels that are going to help you grow and not help you stay the same, right? So if you are labeling yourself as lazy, are you really going to give it your best effort for the day at all? So think about that for a second, because lazy could mean sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, watching TV. Could be for somebody. Lazy could be doing nothing at all, staying in bed all day. But what does lazy mean to you? If lazy meant that to me yesterday and I was so productive throughout the day, I probably need more of that. And do you know why I was so productive during the day? I created space for things to happen at the right time. And when the right time came, mixed with the right mindset, the jobs were effortless. And when we create space in our life, we create room for more and what's next. We're not holding on to the past. I encourage all of you to try to create more space in your life this week. Awaken your magic a little bit. It's like journaling and getting the thoughts downloaded from your head. Go through your closet. It doesn't have to be a big task. Start with one section at a time. Pull out anything that you have not worn in the last 6 months or the last year. You're now working from home for the most part. Or what has changed in your schedule? Declutter. We've talked about this before in a previous episode. I went over the benefits of decluttering. But the benefits when it's the right time is seamless, right? It doesn't feel like a job or a task, but it's a huge, 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 huge sense of accomplishment. So I'm going to challenge you on something, because you're probably wondering how all of this fits in. I mean, we know how this all fits in with our day-to-day. But I've picked up a book, and it's called Everyday Income. Actually, a friend of mine sent it to me. And it's about letting your daily routine change your life. And I know today's episode is all about labeling and how we don't need to be labeling, but we are labeling. And if we're going to continue to be labeling, how we should pivot that to labels that are productive or that make us feel good or that uplift and elevate us. Okay? So let me go over at something in this book that I find fascinating. We all know that everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. So let's start with this important question. Do you plan on being alive in the next 3 years? I sure hope so. Hopefully the answer to this question is yes for everybody. Of course, right? So if it's a yes, like it should be with everybody, what do you picture your life looking like when that time comes? Stop and think about this for a minute. How old will you be? How old will your kids be? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to be financially? And how do you want to be spending your days? Okay, circle back to that. But here's a second question. How quickly did the last 3 years go? If you're like most people, it went by in a blur, right? Naturally, we assume that our lives will be better in the future, but very few of us have practical plans in place to create that better life. It starts with mindset, my friends. And I'm not just saying that because I did my mindfulness course yesterday, but it does start with mindset. If you don't live each day, month, and year on purpose, then they're going to be gone by faster than you know it, right? So think about that. Let's go back and revisit those questions that I just asked you. Do you plan on being alive in the next 3 years? Yes, we're all saying yes. How old do you want to be? How old will you be in 3 years? How old will your kids be? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to be financially? And how do you want to be spending your days? I'm going back to how this resonates with labels, okay? A lazy person, their life won't be different at all. A person that's listening to this podcast, a person that's looking for a little bit of change, a better life, financial stability, whatever that looks like to you, I don't know your answers, but you wouldn't be listening to this if you weren't looking for more. Somewhere in your soul, you're searching for something different, a different outcome to your day-to-day, different level of energy, different level of happiness. So think about the next question. How quickly did the last 3 years go by? And what happened in those 3 years? I'm going to add that second part. What happened in those last 3 years? Can you remember some of the details? What has changed between now and 3 years ago? I can tell you so much has changed in my life between now and 3 years ago. Tony and I met over 3 years ago. Like it'll be 3 years in January. So we're in our third year, and that'll be our third year celebration is in January. Since then, we've lived together. Since then, all of my kids are in post-secondary or graduated. Since then, I'm a grandmother. Since then, I've gotten closer to my family. Since then, I've had to make some changes with my business because of COVID. Since then, I am truly following my true purpose because of how much I've up-leveled and elevated my life. Since then, I get to share all of my life with all of you through these podcasts, through the book I'm going to be writing, through my social media feeds, okay? Since then, I've got to experience new things. There's been maybe 10 different things that have happened that I did something for the first time. Now, offhand, I can't think of all of them, but I know there was definitely a few this year. Horseback riding. It's been over 25 years, so I consider that to be the first time. High tea was definitely the first time. Reconnected with some old friends from 25, 30 years ago when I moved back to when I first was from this town. Oh my gosh, the list goes on. I think I played, last year we took the boys and we played virtual reality. Never done that before. That was a first. How many new experiences are you allowing to fit into your life so you can create your own story for the next 3 years? If you don't make any changes now, what's going to change? What do you expect to change naturally? Because what has changed over the last 3 years? Can you sit there and tell me how many personal development books you've read or what kind of healthy habits you practice? What's changed in your life? So we can all go back and circle back and say the last 3 years have gone past in a blur. But now let's fast forward and think about the next 3 years. What do you want to be different? You have this chance. But the best way to move forward is to stop labeling yourself. Don't worry about what's happened in the past. Don't worry about other people's thoughts and judgments on you. Those don't define you. Those define their opinion of you. Yesterday, I was not lazy. But had I listened to what I had said about myself, I wouldn't be feeling as successful and as good as I was at the end of the day, right? There's nothing lazy about yesterday. We've had a great weekend, and it just so happens I'm going to have another great day ahead of me. And I know that. I set my intentions every day. I am expecting a magical outcome every single day with everything I do, and it starts with grace and gratitude. And I wish the same for you. You all know I started the weight loss challenge. I shared with you a little bit today about my Future Self program. It is an amazing program. If you're interested in learning more, I do have some workshops coming up on it. You can just message me. If you want to know how to make some changes to your day-to-day so you're not living the same life that you've been living over the last 3, 4, 10 years, whatever it looks like. It could be the only life you know, and there could be nothing wrong with it. But again, you wouldn't truly be listening to this if you didn't crave more. If you weren't looking for some sort of change. And change can be easy. Change could be reading self-development books, a book a month. That's easy, right? And you might not know where to start, but that could be reach out. I can let you know what to start. It would depend on what type of person you are. I know my preferred self-development books have a story in them, right? I like to hear people's stories the way I like to hear this podcast. I actually get engaged listening to my own podcast. Isn't that kind of cool? So the story talks to me. I'm a real person sharing a scenario. I like it when I read self-development books that have a message but tell a story. So if that's what you're into, let me know. I have those based on finances, on relationships, on health and fitness. Every single variable, I can make some recommendations, or I can put you in touch with somebody who can if I can't do it. There's podcasts that you can listen to. Honestly, you can bring in other modalities such as scents and smells to help uplift you. Things we don't think about. Okay, so I'm dancing all the time around here, and it probably drives Tony crazy a little bit because I'll put the radio on. Like, I live by the radio or by music, and I'm always swaying my hips, and it just so happens that my new workout is a dance workout. So now I'm learning some new moves, and I'm applying them to music, but the point is I am creating more and more positive energy of what I want by doing that. I am attracting more and more of that into my life. And that's really what I hope for you as well. Help you attract more and more of what you want into your life. And it starts today. Why wouldn't it start today? We don't have to wait for tomorrow. And we certainly don't want to wait 3 years to make a change. We don't want to be spending the rest of our lives wondering what if. It starts with not labeling. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Label yourself as a superstar. If you are going to label yourself as amazing, or in my case, supersonic. Don't laugh. It's what Google calls me. It works. It makes me laugh. It makes others laugh when I share that story. And at the end of the day, why not? Why not give yourself a cute and fun and cheeky label that's going to motivate and inspire you to just smile a little bit more? Your smile is contagious. Your family loves you. You love your family. You love what you're doing for a living, or you wouldn't be doing it. And again, if that's not the case, we need to talk. Some people are working to work for a paycheck. Let me help you find the hidden benefits and the treasures in your day-to-day so you can enjoy it more. I promise you it's worth it. Because this is your life, and if you're not going through it every single day, being blessed with the gifts that you've been given, we have some work to do. Nothing's going to change, right? And you're coming from a mindset where, oh, again, really? Ugh. Why? Why would you live like that? When you can have more, you can explore. You can explore from the inside of you outwards, and you can shine that light on people. You know, experience something for the first time. Go to a beach in the fall and listen to the waves come down. Why not? All right, guys, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. You know I am here to help support you on your journey. Today's lessons, we've talked about the benefits of not labeling in a negative context. We've also talked about uplifting and elevating your life so you're living your best life, and how the feelings of happiness are contagious. They really are. You know, you're in love with your partner, or you're in love with yourself for a reason. And are you living your best life? And how are you doing it? We also talked about how quickly the last 3 years went by and how quickly the next 3 years are going to be going by unless we add a little bit of change to our day-to-day. And that's where the magic happens, right? We find change in our daily habits. You can go and work out 3 times a week and work out really hard and really fast. It's not the effort. It's the consistency. You need to be consistent with healthy eating. You need to be consistent with keeping an eye on your budget if you want progress in your finances. You need to be consistent in reaching out if you want to be good at sales or your side hustle. Or if you want to turn your side hustle into a full-time hustle or whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. But you need to put constant effort out in those areas, right? If you're sick and you're injured, you need to heal. You need to heal daily. You need to rest daily. Rest is part of your recovery. You need to be consistent in that area. That was a tough lesson for me to learn. And stop, my friends, stop labeling. Okay, that's it. Till next week, my dear ones. Stop labeling. Be kind to yourself. Awaken your magic. And let me know how I can help you grow and glow. Have a fantastic Monday.